What's up, Knicks Nation? The streets are buzzing. Salute, salute. Welcome to live show reaction. As the New York Knicks have made a move, we're going to talk about it with the best chat in the biz. Salute, Knicks Nation. As the Knicks have reached an agreement with Shake Milton, the guard coming out of Detroit, previously the T-Wolves, right, in the off-season, started the season with Minnesota. Shake Milton is going to come to terms with the New York Knicks upon clearing waivers, and we're going to talk about it. What does it mean? What is your thoughts on this move? I'm going to give you mine. And overall, I think it's a no risk, a no lose situation. I think the Knicks needed to add some more roster spots with veterans. I think that can come in with some experience. But the story really for me is Leon Rose, right? He's, being aggressive. We heard only, yesterday Shake Milton became available via buyout. Obviously, Detroit, we know which direction they're going in. We know which direction the Knicks are trending towards, hoping to go in with a deep playoff run, fam. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Something I've been preaching for a minute. And we're going to talk about what Shake Milton can bring to the table. And we'll look at some highlights. And we'll just talk about the rotation. Because the New York Knicks will obviously have another backcourt addition. Alec Burks previously just come in. Hasn't hit the ground running, fam. Has struggled, in his 8 games. It has been 8 games, of course. And I still feel like Alec Burks can help the New York Knicks in certain areas. But the first thing is, people might overreact to this. I think it's a fairly significant move because the Knicks obviously got Toppin and they got Jeffries on a 10-day contract, right? So we don't know what the plan is with those gentlemen yet, right? Once that 10-day expires, the Knicks are going to have to do something with these roster spots. And the Knicks needed to reach 14 guaranteed roster spots via the league minimum. So Shake Milton will be playoff eligible. So that's big. Of course, why otherwise they wouldn't do this move. He's averaging 5 points per game on limited minutes, limited opportunities. But we've seen some previous games where Shake Milton has impressed me when he's played against the New York Knicks. He is a point guard, and he's going to come in with some scoring skills, right? Some scoring skill set, something that we hoped Alec Burks would bring to the table, fam, that has not yet eventuated to. As we see, Shake Milton can finish in traffic there, acrobatic layup. He can hit the mid-range, the step back there as well. He had an impressive stint in Philly, and we'll get your thoughts. There's Trini, Jet Life, Daniel, Wilson in the building, Buzzer Beater, and Travel Vibes in the house. Salute Knicks Nation, right? We're really approaching what is going to be a huge month and a home straight for these New York Knicks, right? Hoping to make noise, and I think we will. I think all things are going to come together in the nick of time, but one by one, right? This is a one layer, one piece to the puzzle. Let's get your thoughts as I continue to give you mine on this move, and we're going to talk about the rotation, right? Is Alec Burks under the pressure to keep some minutes, fam? A depth signing, says Wilson. Buzzer says, Shake Milton, what are we doing? With a question mark. Jet Life, better version of McBride. Trini, salute, let's go. Dirty Dancer says, Shake has to shoot it. If he does, it's a tremendous pickup, right? Efficiency, shooting, yep. Confidence. And literally, as his name says, he can shake it. He can shake you up. He can shake the defender up. Really, pun intended. He can create a shot, and I think that's something that was a skill set needed before the Alec Burks move. And Alec Burks hasn't shown that he can do that yet. Bojan Bogdanovic, to me, has shown that he can create a shot as well. As I bring up the roster now, we're kind of filled with all 15 spots until the 10-day expire from Jeffries and from Jake, which I think is either going to be a case of they're just going to extend that second 10-day, or they're going to see what else is available. Now, the buyout market finished, the deadline to be bought out on a current team was last night, midnight. And so teams, you might be asking, when can teams still add talent? Teams can still sign players all the way up until the final week of the regular season. So we're not under pressure to make any more signings as of yet. But obviously we're reeling with injuries, and we're going to need some more bodies, some skill sets that can put the ball in the hoop. I think Leon Rose, as he's shown with all the moves this season, he's been aggressive, right? He's probably watched these last couple games, tough loss to the tough win over the Pistons, barely, tough loss to the Warriors. And in a competitive environment, you need to be able to grab some talent before a competitor grabs it as well, and just be proactive, right? I'm not here to tell you Shake Milton's going to be the difference, because we don't know yet. But if it's a low risk move, I think you do it. It's going to be on a league minimum salary for the rest of the season, fam. So yeah, the story for me is Leon Rose is getting aggressive. He's probably seen a couple things he hasn't liked, or a need, still a clear skill set need for what Alec Burks hasn't been able to provide yet. And I've continued to talk about, I think Bojan Bogdanovic will live up to the billing. I think he's going to be space it out in the corner, hit that shot when the ball's moving, and we've got Julius OG and Brunson that can get into the paint and kick it out. But yeah, Dirty's on point, got to shoot it. Dirty also says Shake and Deuce are perfect complements. That's some good perspective as well. And I'll hit on that in a second. Buzzer Beater says, I'd rather have Paddy Mills. You know where I stand on that, man. Get us Paddy Mills, but that boat has probably sailed now that Shake Milton's here, man. And we don't know. Maybe they inquired about Paddy Mills first, and maybe he has his sights set on another team, right? Paddy's been in New York before, of course, with Brooklyn, so he knows all about the city. He's his CAA client as well. We wait to hear what happens with Paddy. So yeah, back to my point earlier, as long as you were bought out or not on a current NBA team as of midnight last night, you're eligible to join any playoff team up until the final week of the regular season. So as long as you were bought out or not on a current team from midnight. So there's still heaps of players out there, man. There's Dwayne Dedman. What do you guys think about him in the big man spot? There is Korkmaz still out there as well. Mook Morris, former Knick favorite. He's still out there trying to hop on a team, and I think the Bucks are a pretty good fit for him. I think there's a lot of teams, and this can get pretty competitive. The buyout market is no joke. We talked to Joe Varden of The Athletic. We talked about Kevin Love's impact, and we know how disgusting that was, seeing him with the Heat contribute, against us. But the facts are the facts. He was a good pickup, and he helped them get all the way to the NBA Finals. So it's hit and miss, man. Sometimes buyouts can really hit the spot, and sometimes they can just be a non-factor as well. But I think considering the Knicks had roster spots available, I needed us to get serious. It's a serious team is someone who wants to go as far as possible in the playoffs. And not waste any roster spots as well. That's no discredit to Toppin and to Daquan Jeffries, but clearly we've seen over the last week that Tibbs isn't interested in playing them, right? Tibbs is all about vets, and I think he's probably in consultation, maybe even Jalen Brunson, some of the leadership was consulted on these kind of things, man. What's up, Hector? Salute. This is going to work out. I see Milton taking the backup role spot at the point. That's my early indications. I mean, it's his spot to gain. Maybe alongside Deuce, though. So for anyone that's thinking, well, is Deuce going to lose his minutes? Is he going to get his spot taken? I think Tom Thibodeau is one of the highest fans of the biggest fans of Deuce, and I think Deuce will continue to play. The point is injuries. So the first reason to do this move for me is insurance, first and foremost. Taking aside what you think Milton can provide, what he's going to do, all of those things I think is a bit irrelevant because you need insurance heading in. Brunson, we're seeing it. If he misses a game, then Lord help us. We got another guy who can at least come in and back up Deuce if Deuce steps in for Brunson as well. And Brunson's putting in overtime, man, 40 minutes a night. He's getting banged up. He's he's central to the other team's schemes. They're going to trap him. They're going to make life hell in the playoffs and in the road to the playoffs as well. So, what I've seen, whenever Brunson's off the court or he's injured, we're really pushing Ish uphill. So, bringing Shake in is going to be a guy who is insurance first and foremost, right, on one of these back-end roster spots. The second thing is it doesn't hurt that he can play, right? You tick the box if you're a veteran and you've helped a team win. He's been on Philly. They've been a perennial playoff team. And he's also been with the Timberwolves, who are the hottest team out west earlier this season, prior to getting traded. And so, man, we get a little bit deeper with this spot. So I'm for it. I'm a fan of the move. It'll be interesting to see if Leon has his sights set on someone else as well. We have the flexibility. And I think the minute we heard Toppin and Jeffries were signed on a 10-day, I kind of felt like that's just going to buy them time to see who gets bought out and then to see who they can add, right? Because I don't think those guys are probably going to come in into the playoff roster as well. They might get waived if there's better players available. Toppin, I think, can go back on the two-way. So that's the flexibility right there as well. What's good, Danny? Salute. Darren's in the building. Coach says, look at Mook if Randall isn't coming back. That's what I'm thinking as well. Unfortunately, I think Mook will be snapped up by then, but I think that's still a possibility in case is insurance once again. Randall, is ticking all the boxes, looking like he'll be back on the court before the playoffs. OG, of course, is going to be back in about 7 to 15 days, according to the schedule. He's going to be able to take contact shortly. He's shooting now in the gym, which is great. But yeah, man, Shake Milton can play backup point. He can be shooting guard as well. And like Dirty Dancer's point, he really complements Deuce McBride as well. A player who can really shake him up there with the step back crossover. He's lit us up a couple times, so I don't forget that. Mook is still available. Yes, sir. So, we wait to see. Paddy Mills is still available as well, but I don't think there's the need for that just yet. With this signing now. Now, I've got a list of the CAA guys, so I'm going to bring that up as well just for interest. Because I hadn't actually had a chance to check if Shake Milton was a CAA client, but it makes sense as we see it in the bottom right. Drew Morrison, who also reps Robert Covington as part of the CAA tree, represents Shake Milton. So the CAA mafia strikes again, and we got the inside word. And it also feels good from a club perspective that he has options, but he chooses the Knicks, so he clearly sees there's a spot. He clearly sees he can help, and he clearly sees the Knicks are playoff bound, right, to make a deeper run with that thing as well. But obviously we got the inside connection with CAA as well, and it was announced by Woj first, who was CAA as well as Shams. What's good, Darren? Dirty also says in terms of size, he's got 6'6" height, 7'1" wingspan. Yep. 5 points per game this season, but he's not averaging that many minutes. I'm going to bring up how many minutes he's been averaging, right? But again, it doesn't hurt to add a guy who can score. He's 27 years of age, coming out of two winning. Prior to the Pistons, he was on two winning programs as well, with the T-Wolves and with Philly as well. As a pull-up basketball reference, man, on the season, yeah, he's averaging the 5 points, 40% from the field, 80% from free throw. He's got a PER of 9%, and he's shooting 27% from three on the season, right? In 42 games. So hasn't been shooting the rock from three well this season, 40% from the field, right? But we know he's not going to get a whole lot of minutes. He's 6 foot, coming in at 6'6", and shoots with the right hand. So I'm trying to find out how many minutes he's been averaging, which is obviously good perspective on his stats, right? So his best game previously with Detroit on the 14th of February, he put up 13 points in that game in 23 minutes. So 13 points in 23 minutes. I mean, maybe it goes back to the fact that Alec Burks has been underwhelming. Because a part of me is thinking, if Alec Burks had been lighting it up, would the Knicks have done this move? So that tells me that Leon Rose has definitely been, taking into account everything, man. We're going to look at the standings, teams catching up. Unfortunately, the Bucks picked up a win. They keep winning. The Cleveland Cavaliers picked up a win last night. They keep winning. And then we've got the Heat coming. Orlando we face next week on Friday, after a couple big games in Cleveland and at home to the Hawks. So the Knicks just needed to be, act with urgency, and bring a guy with experience, plug and play. Once again, Tibbs, is familiar with guys, who've been around the league, getting minutes, and he probably had a say in this thing as well. Danny Salute says, what about signing Rolo? He's a name that's interesting. I don't think he has much left, fam. But he would add more insurance, a size, body, in terms of the height, rebounding, rim protection. And he is one of the better big men available. Definitely. I would be open to getting Lopez in here. Deadman is an interesting name as well. He's out there. The Knicks were looking into Daniel Gafford, but he went to Dallas. He's doing well. He's helping them as well. Cameron says Burks is playing awful. Hopefully they play Milton. That'd be interesting. I can disclose that reports say that Milton isn't on the plane to Cleveland because he hasn't cleared waivers yet. So he won't suit up against Cleveland, but dare I say by Tuesday, home to ATL, that Shake Milton will be in a New York Knicks uniform for that night, fam. And look, in a nice way, it's putting some friendly fire under Alec Burks and the rest of the crew, right? It's like, okay, I have ambitions. Leon Rose is sitting here seeing the guys go to battle, seeing Jalen Brunson give it his all and come up short. It's a tough sight, man, and we've dealt with a tough month, man. 4-8, in February, too, fam. But the CAA tree strikes again. We get one of the more, in-demand talents available on the buyout market. There's still a lot of guys. It's going to be interesting. I was kind of thinking Patty Mills could be a serious option because he is with CAA as well. But I think the door is closed on that right now. But I won't be surprised. You never know. He could still play the one. Shake Milton could play the two. But I do think if we do make another move, and you guys let me know, do you think there's more moves coming? I think if we do, it's probably going to be a big man. Although, with Jericho playing decent, Precious Achua holding it down, um, and then Isaiah, who is dealing with the Achilles, that is a factor to consider as well. Uh, that is something to worth considering with Isaiah Hartenstein's Achilles, right, and hoping that Mitch can get back and be the same Mitch before he went down. Yeah, look, Paddy Mills' game has definitely regressed. He's not the same Paddy Mills for sure. I think Shake Milton provides more size, more youthful athleticism as well. So that's something big. Yeah, I love Mook. Danny is a dog as well. He would add that veteran on the bench as well, who's an enforcer, someone who is experienced as well. That's going to be interesting to see if we do kick the tires on that. But this move today signals that Leon Rose is not dying wondering. Like we're not going to go into the playoffs beaten up, short-handed, and that's what I admire about this. It's being aggressive, and just making sure that we've got the guys back. In terms of these other guys, leaving it all out there, man. Josh Hart playing 47 minutes that was the feather, that was the tip of the cap. Maybe the straw that broke the camel's back, in terms of last night, the other game, in the loss to the Warriors. That's too many minutes. Buzzer says we need to win that game in Cleveland. 100%. That is so critical, that game, right? As I just clean up the chat in a minute. Yeah, Cleveland, it's huge, man. Donovan Mitchell is questionable. Sat the last game, but I don't think he's going to sit this one, man. This is the biggest game of the season for Cleveland, in my opinion, because this is going to create separation for them if they can hold off the New York Knicks. And on the Knicks side, I think this is going to be maybe a win that catapults the Knicks back up to hold on to the fourth spot, maybe even continue to press for the third spot if some of these moves pan out. So I think, this week is a huge week coming up. And I think it's a 50-50 game. I really do. Donovan Mitchell's still questionable. He's not 100%, even if he goes. So, yeah, let's see. I really admire Deuce McBride's play. He's stepped it up. He deserved to play more against Steph, no doubt. Alec Burks, if he doesn't step it up soon, I would cut those minutes, right, and give Shake a shot, fam. I mean, you're adding him. Why not just give him a shot? 5 points per game. He can't really do any worse than Alec Burks, right? I think he's a bit better as a defender as well in what he can do out there on the court. But yeah, the Bucks are starting to win. That's a hell of a time to be short-handed. Look, the best thing is I think there's a possibility within 7 days that OG could be back, right? Probably more on the 10 to 15 day side, but I won't be surprised if OG starts to take contact in a few days after he's got a couple practices, and then a couple practices in, he might be able to return to the lineup, maybe off the bench to ease him in. As we talk about the rotation now, what do you guys want to see done? Any tweaks that you would like to see made? I would love to get Deuce's minutes up, Burks' minutes down, Bojan's minutes up in that starting unit. Maybe Hart back to the bench, or Precious with the bench. That's a short-term adjustment that I would love to see the New York Knicks make. We can cut Burks, absolutely. Yep. We just have to eat that salary. And I think for cap purposes, yeah, a lot of teams are not really open to doing that very much, fam. Yeah, we're stuck with Burks. I think it'd be a really, really uncommon move to trade for him and then waive him, I think. But yeah, we'll see. I think Burks is still there. He's going to be insurance as well. We might just need to cut the minutes. Um, yeah, and as I said earlier, as Buzzer chimes in, Shake Milton's defense is decent. Good wingspan, as you said, good height, as well. And yeah, and coming off two out of his last three teams was on a winning team as well. Um, and glad he chose the New York Knicks as well. uh, let's get some reactions as well from Knicks Nation as I pull up and see what other news is happening, right? We continue to wait. We're going to hear more buyouts, right, any day. Uh, as long as you're not on an NBA team anymore from today, you can still sign with any NBA team up until the final week before the playoffs as well. So a lot of teams have still got time. They can even bring some dudes in to work out as well. I know a lot of these teams love these veteran workouts, yeah, and get that motivation, get guys pushing each other as well. Um, I think the Lakers usually like to do that. Harry Giles was signed as well. I think that was a solid ad. I think Harry's going to the Lakers as well. So yeah, they love the buyout market big time. Deadman's still out there. Korkmaz, Mook Morris, Paddy Mills, Robin Lopez. Any other names you guys think? Steve Popper's reporting, should Milton clear the waivers Monday? League sources confirms he expects to sign with us and be available for the Atlanta game. Right in the nick of time as well. So yeah, I'm hyped. I think this is a positive news. The last couple games, it was tough to watch. Seeing us, almost lose to the Pistons. Also, what Shake is going to help us out with, he's going to bring a little bit of insight from Philly, right? I mean, the Philly are real, and I'm not stressing or fearing Philly too much, because until they get Embiid back, I think as we play them, in about a week's time on a baseball home and home, baseball series, I think that's going to be a big stretch as well. But we beat them twice in Philly, and I think OG Anunoby might even be back for one or two of those games, best case scenario. But I'm not really fearing Philly too much, but it helps that he can bring some of that experience and knowledge from Philly as well. DeMarcus Cousins, buzzer beater. Yeah, we've talked about him a bit. You seem to be a really big fan, but yeah, DeMarcus is playing overseas, fam. I think he's still playing actively, but he's loving life. I think in Taiwan. I think he's in Taiwan or Puerto Rico, fam, as well. He's kind of given up on the NBA return. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, Shake basically negotiated a buyout, as Cameron's saying. So what happens is a player, they're not obviously happy where they're at. The team's not going anywhere. So what they do is they generally say to the team, hey, if you buy me out, I'll accept, a lesser pay, and the team I sign with is going to make up, the funds that I lose, basically. So let's say he's going to be earning $2 million with Detroit. He could say, look, you cut me loose, only pay me, 1.3 million, and you save some money, and then I sign with the New York Knicks, and they pay me the rest of that salary as well. So it's a win-win-win, for everybody as well, and they can play in the playoffs, which is the biggest thing. Of course, Detroit not sniffing the playoffs at the minute. So yeah, Shake Milton, we've seen the highlights. What do you guys think? Right? Do you think he fits in at the backup two next to Deuce? That's my early prediction. Maybe Burks loses a little bit of minutes. Maybe he moves to the backup three for now. Shake Milton comes in, plays some backup two, and we ride it out with a 9-man rotation at the minute. Obviously starting against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, yeah, we look at Cleveland, but then let's predict Atlanta. You've got Brunson at the 1, DiVincenzo at the 2. You're going to have Hart at the 3, Precious at the 4 still, and you'll probably have Isaiah at the 5. So that's 5. Then you have Deuce, obviously at the backup 1 still. I don't think his minutes are going to go completely yet. Then you'll see a little bit of Shake Milton, probably at the backup 2. Maybe Burke's out for a game, we'll see. If not, Burke's at the 3, Bojan at the 4 as well. And maybe Sims. Maybe Sims is the 10th man, maybe not. And maybe Precious just steps up as the backup center as well. We rock with that 9-man rotation. Gives us that little bit more scoring. Jericho Sims obviously out of the rotation at that point, and then it'll be Shake Milton to come in and give us that little bit more floor spacing, fam, as well. Now, the Knicks do look at analytics, as we know, and obviously they've got to be looking at some of these lineups to say that, the spacing is not optimal. And offensively, even when Brunson is off the court, we either give up a lead, as we did against Detroit, or if we have a deficit, the deficit grows even more, and the other teams pile it on as well. And I think guys like Devo are gassed. I mean, Josh Hardy's gassed as well, right? So, yeah, I'm a fan. This is just another body, another player who can help score and play make, as well. But I don't think it means Deuce McBride is going to lose out at all. Obviously, whenever we get to the playoffs, we're going to have more decisions to make then. But as for now, we just got to pick up wins, man. We have to pick up wins and stay in touch with the Eastern Conference race, fam. Now some games today, right? What are some key games? The Miami Heat picked up a win against the Jazz, so that's unfortunate. No one else really that's affecting the Knicks in the standings as I bring it up now. And we take a look as the Knicks face Cleveland tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern as well. Huge game where the Knicks can close the gap, right? But it's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy at all. I think Donovan Mitchell is going to be a go, but Shake Milton won't be available until at least on Tuesday, right? So I'll pull up the standings now as we peep how close things are, man. As you guys already know, the Knicks holding on to the 4th spot, right? So it's so important the next couple of weeks for the Knicks to pick up some of these tough wins, whether it be against Cleveland. Orlando is a 50-50 game. I think we're favourites against Atlanta, but Philly and then Philly, both at home as well. Even those are tricky because you could be better than Philly, but to beat them twice in a row is always a tougher situation, because if you win the first one, they usually, don't want to get swept as well. Right? But Philly's right there in 5th. Maybe they get some help in the buyout market as well, right? But the Heat continue to make a run, which is disturbing. So they're now out of the play-in and in the playoff spot at 34-26. They are just one game back of us. What's up, Vaughn? Salute. Milton is a great defender as well. Salute. Buzzer says we're asking Sims to do things that he is not prepared to do. He's a project, says Danny, still growing. Yeah, he's an upgrade over Taj Gibson, which first and foremost is pretty obvious. The second thing is, Sims, I think, can be solid. He can do a job. He can hold his own. The thing is, if you're looking, to pick up wins against really good teams, then it's a tough look, to play Sims 15, 20 minutes, in meaningful minutes. It's tough. Certain nights he can hold his own, and I think certain nights you see, the defense, key in and his rotations sometimes are a little bit off. Offensively, as I said, he doesn't give you a lot as well. He struggles from the free throw line a bit as well. But so far, he's been Jericho Sims. He hasn't regressed. I think he's made a little bit of improvements. But yeah, he's a young player, still growing. The thing is, our direction changed completely when we made the RJ quickly trade, and the Knicks decided that, you know what, we've got a bona fide first-time All-Star, All-NBA, hopefully, Julius Randle, a third-time All-Star. We bring OG in. We're going for it, and that's the difference in mindset, in the shift. But the fact that Jericho's still getting minutes and is still developing is good, because young players don't often get minutes when a team is good. So that's interesting as well. Yeah, we've got former Knicks available. Kevin Knox, I think. Jeremy Lin, as the chat's talking about. Frank Ntilikina. I think we won't be seeing that anytime soon, fam. But I'm happy with Shake Milton. And he can definitely help this squad. Right, so one of the better players who are available. Let's see if Leon Rose continues to get busy and fill maybe the 13th or 14th spot with Jeffries or Toppin. Toppin, I don't think they're going to cut, but they can always just put him back to another two-way spot as well. So we're not going to lose Toppin. He's going to be around for obvious reasons. Daquan Jeffries, he might just be a placeholder now, though, until we see what happens, right? But I know the club is mindful of adding too many guys. There is such a thing as just adding too many guys, guys who maybe, are hopeful of minutes. The thing is, if you want to sign a buyout guy, a conversation has to take place between agent and GM president to say, hey, is my guy going to get an opportunity? Otherwise, why would I sign with you? I could sign with the Milwaukee Bucks, or I could sign with the Lakers. So there's definitely a conversation that's taken place to say, yep, you're going to get a chance. Come on in. We could use your skill set. You could help us. They're all the things that a player loves to hear as well. And of course, it's the Mecca, and we're playoff bound. Right, I'm not ready to entertain the play-in at this stage. Yeah, and I have heard a lot of people talk about it's not the end of the world if the Knicks are in the play-in. And I would agree. It's definitely not the end of the world. I think the Knicks are in a situation where, they're gonna get to the playoffs or play-in regardless, and they can beat anybody. But you still want that level of comfort, knowing that you don't have to compete in the play-in. That you're guaranteed a 7-game series from the jump. I think that's big, and I think, quite frankly, we're one of the top 6 teams in the East. We deserve it. When healthy, we have 2 All-Stars in the starting 5, which is big time as well. Melo's finished. He's wrapped up, Van. I think signing 40-year-olds at this stage is it's just not going to happen. I understand why his name continues to get brought up, but I just think some of these guys that that resonate with us because they're legends. They've been huge in the league with DeMarcus Cousins, etc. But we just need to remember their age, fam. We need to get young, and I think we need to look at what we're doing, which is like 27-year-olds, I think 28-year-olds. That's the timeline for Brunson and Randall and OG, fam. Great point here by Buzzer Beater as well. Salute. I haven't seen enough of our two-way players to make a decision to play them. That's the conundrum, man. I think you got to really hope that they can dominate at the Westchester level. To be ready for any NBA meaningful minutes, because the NBA is the big boys league. If you can't dominate Westchester, then it's going to be tough to earn good minutes in the NBA. To warrant getting minutes on a winning team. I think so. That's that's something to look out for as well. Toppin showed huge flashes, of course, in the G League. He's put up 40 twice. Jeffries is one of just those journeyman veterans who I think the Knicks obviously like in terms of the package. Character guy, has some skills, but yeah, I think he's a level below NBA, of course. I think they're just comfortable filling the back end of the roster with guys like him. But inconsistency, injuries has led the New York Knicks to make this move for Shake Milton, right? A player they've been a fan of. We have reports confirming from Ian Begley, SNY, that the New York Knicks had conversations with the Minnesota Timberwolves prior to the deadline for a potential trade for a Shake Milton. So yeah, the Knicks have been entertaining this for a minute in terms of being fans of his game, fam. The truth is as well, the way I see it, the Knicks haven't still filled the Quickly role, right? Whatever the role Emmanuel Quickly was doing on this team, which was primarily to score off the bench, we haven't replaced that yet. We hoped Alec Burks was going to do that at the guard spot. That hasn't worked out. So the New York Knicks have made moves. And I think it's another solid one. Another solid no-risk, buy-low move. It's a veteran's minimum. And this is a guy who's done it in the league for a bit. Hasn't had as many opportunities, but he's very capable of scoring 15 to 20 points on any night. He's averaging 5 points in 13 minutes. Demario in the building, Cam Hive in the building. Anyone else you guys would love to see, knowing that this roster is what it is now? There might be one, maybe two more spots if Toppin isn't brought into the playoffs and goes back to the two-way. But everything else kind of seems pretty set. I think I could see Jeffries being the one to get cut for one more spot. And it might make sense to be at the big man, knowing that, Mitch is rehabbing, and of course iHeart is dealing with, the nature of the Achilles inflammation, man. It's up and it's down. But I think that's going to settle down with a little bit of rest, right? Hopefully he can get a little bit more rest, not play as much when Mitch is returning soon. But Precious, a little bit undersized, God bless him. He's been balling out, and he's really contributed and stepped up for us. But we've seen some limitations again, like Jericho, going up against big bodies and veterans as well. So maybe adding another big man makes a little bit of sense to the equation, right? Just like the Shake Milton one made a lot of sense for me. So yeah, he's going to be playoff eligible. He's with the squad now. He's going to be with us for the rest of the home straight. But the New York Knicks can still cut. They could still cut Burks. They could still cut him if they wanted to add more people up until the final week of the NBA regular season, provided that player is no longer on an NBA roster as of today. So anybody who gets cut on another team today, they're not going to be eligible to sign with anyone. So the buyout had to end at midnight last night. So yeah, we know the guys who are available. Fam, I mean, to me, the top free agent right now does seem to be Mook Morris. And again, it's going to be a case of his agent, having conversations with teams. Who can I help the most? Who's going to give me the most, opportunities? All of those things. Exactly why the Knicks are, appealed to a Shake Milton and his agent, because I mean, you can see the Knicks struggling with injuries right now, and I appreciate the fact that he wants to come in and help us out. For him, Shake Milton says, not only is it the Mecca, but I can give you some minutes, fam. I can produce. To as I did a last minute Photoshop, right, with Shake Milton. So yeah, this is him in a artificial Knicks jersey, right? Um, but yeah, Shake Milton, man, he's been in the league a minute. Can play the one, can play the two. You can score more efficiently, I think, than Alec Burks. He's better at getting to the rim, as we see here. Once again, anyone joining us, salute. Give us your thoughts on this pickup. As the Knicks are aggressive, I like it. Some of these moves don't always pan out, so you know, obviously it's always going to be attached to the GM's resume. But this is a low risk, buy high kind of pickup. With that, you see him pick it up and hit that half court shot at the Garden last season. I think that was, that was last Christmas, fam. So yeah, I mean he's had some great games with Philly. A good finisher at the hoop, solid defender as well, and can create separation. We needed more athletic guys, really, and I think he complements Deuce McBride, which is a big factor as well. He's not a 6'2" point guard that has the exact same skill set as Deuce. He brings something different, I think, which is key. And as Danny hits the money, it also helps if you're potentially or playing better than Alec Burks right now, who I think is getting fair critique. Right, I really do. I've been thinking about it the last day, and I think Burks did have expectations, obviously coming in. He's capable of playing better than what he's doing, so that alone means you're deserving of critique, right? I mean, also his play's been subpar, and he was better with us last time. So, and it's been 8 games, so I do think, Alec Burks, I said I was gonna evaluate after 8 to 10 days, 8 to 10 games, and it's been a D, man. It's been a D minus. It's been an F. Either of those, man, for Alec Burks in 8 games. And I don't think that the thing that had me a little bit worried the last day thinking about it is I don't think Alec Burks is gonna, suddenly click and be much better. I think the Alec Burks we're seeing is very close to the Alec Burks we're gonna get. You don't need 8 games or more to show more of what you can do. We've seen it. And I think Leon Rose pulled off this swing today. And with that, man, my grade for the move, Buzzer's given it the B minus. Salute. I'm going to bring up my grade, initial grade as well. Obviously, he's yet to take the court. He's yet to even sign with the Knicks, but it's going to happen. And I'm trying to be impartial because we do need the help. And knowing the skill set he can bring, I'm going to give it a B on the surface. Right, it has the potential to be B plus, God willing, even an A if he can win us some games. But yeah, on the surface, it makes a lot of sense. He fits skill set. He help us right now, man. I just wish he was able to play against Cleveland, right? Because minutes wise, we're playing a lot of guys, especially Brunson, a lot. And it's really those minutes when Brunson's off the court that gives us, Knicks Nation, the biggest worry, fam. Deuce has been holding it down, in terms of hitting some shots, playing good defense, but he needs help as well. The squad needs help, period. And we look at these roster spots, and some of them are just getting wasted. They really are, man. With and no disrespect to some of the potential of these guys, Burks, Bogey, Deuce McBride as well. But yeah, with Jake Toppin and Jeffries, those roster spots are wasted. Those are the two that I think Tibbs was really never going to play in meaningful minutes. So for that, it's a B at least. Buzzer says, I think the shake has to work out. what's the odds of Leon whiffing on 3 straight players? That's a fair point. I wouldn't call the Bogdanovic thing a whiff at the minute, but yeah, Alec Burks has definitely been. We've seen enough from OG to see that was a home run as well. Right. Injuries aside, you can never really predict injuries. Now, if OG was to miss an entire season, then I would factor that into the grade of a trade. But I think the fact that OG decided to get this cleanup, this elbow surgery done early and be back for the playoffs, I think that was a smart move, because at least he's going to be ready for the business end of the season. We have a puncher's chance. If OG delayed the surgery and it flared up in the playoffs and he had to sit, every second game, that wouldn't have done us any good, So I think, yeah, it sucks that OG hasn't, been active with us, but it also makes sense what they did. What's good, Tay Mac? This is the exact type of point guard they need to pair up with Deuce. Very smart. I saw the vision with Burks, but he's not in the right fit at the minute. Yeah, 100%. I agree, man. And I like that they were willing to maybe admit a mistake or admit that we did the trade because of Bogdanovic. We didn't really do it so much because of Burks. Burks hasn't worked out, so let's replace him. What I've noticed this year is that anyone's replaceable if you're not producing, or there's a better fit. And we saw that with RJ, with Quickly. We saw it with OG coming in, and we saw the fact that Quentin Grimes wasn't producing. So what did they do? They tried to get some guys who they thought could produce. And yeah, with Bogey, I think the jury's still out. Burks has been a D+, D-, F. Bogey, it's been more of a C+. He has won us a game in Philly. And the Bogey move still has a potential to become a B+, if he's capable in the playoffs as well. I think we have to consider that. But we also have to consider that Bogdanovic has to win us ball games, has to help us win in the meantime, because that is another reason the Knicks made this trade with Burks and Bogdanovic, But yeah, man, could Burks start to lose minutes? I mean, he's down to 11 last game. Tibbs, man, he yanked him and didn't have much patience with that. I think the patience was growing thin. It's been 8 games, and the Knicks have called on some help. I like it. And I give it a B on the surface right now. Obviously, we have to see him play, but the skill set fits, like Tay Mac says. What's good, Eddie, in the building? All Milton has to give us is D and a decent point guard that can actually pass and get the second team running. Yep. All of those things sound great. I think creating separation is key too. A lot of the struggles with the bench and the non-spacing lineups is everyone sort of cheats off of other players, Shake Milton's not really a guy you can cheat off because he can make you pay, as you see them guard him up there properly, right? Because he can score in 3 ways. He can get fouled, get to the line, he can score in mid-range and at the rim, and he can stretch the floor a bit, although the 3-point shooting has not been great this season. But he's a streaky player. He's another player similar to Burks in terms of, he can look awesome one night, and we know he can put up 30. And there are some nights where he might, give you a quiet 7-8 points, But to Eddie's point, I think the most important need is to set guys up, as well. Deuce McBride could maybe benefit from being off ball on the offensive side a little bit more as well. Deuce has been shooting hot this season, and him not having to just create for himself could be a good thing. Maybe Milton finds Deuce on the elbow, on the corners as well. So yeah, I like the fit. Another reason, he has to bring good decision making, because Alec Burks has not brought that. Alec Burks has taken some ill-advised shots. Uh, he's got stripped, off the dribble, and he's been shaky with the rock, as well. So I do hope Shake Milton can bring some stability as well. I'm definitely going to be watching some more highlights for the rest of the night and looking forward to seeing him in the uniform on Tuesday. But of course, man, I'm juiced up. I'm hyped for the Sunday huge matchup in Cleveland. Right, we could really make a statement towards Cleveland to the rest of the East to say, hey, we're not going down without a fight. As some tough games start to come up, man. Um, yep. So yeah, OG Anunoby's elbow. Yeah, he had some loose bone spurs, which can happen if you take some hits. Basically, just the bone needs to get shaved a little bit. Is how they describe it, fam. Some loose fragments. A surgery opens you up and it cleans it up a little bit of these bone fragments. So when these bone fragments hit your nerves, it obviously it's painful and it can be really unnerving, obviously. So yeah, you clean that up and then you're pain free as well. It's considered a minor surgery in the sports industry. So he's going to be back with no lingering effects, right? It's just once he's comfortable. Yep. Salute to die for. Chat buzzing. I know we needed help and all, but what the hell is going on, right? Are we becoming the New York bench, New York Pistons? Man, I don't really associate Shake Milton with a piston, but yeah, I hear your point. It looks funny from that perspective coming from Detroit, but he was just there for a cup of coffee, I think, since the trade deadline, right? He was never going to stay a Piston because he was basically just, surplus to the trade. But yeah, I'm glad that he shake loose, literally, and he's coming to the Mecca. Eddie says Burke's decision making has been awful. There's too many bad shots as well. Yep. And you notice with the bench, man, you don't have many minutes to make an impact. Things can spiral real quick. Like we could be down 4, Brunson goes to the bench, and if you're not decisive or you're not smart with the ball, 3 minutes later, man, you can be down like 12, and it's tough after that. So yeah, I mean, I respect guys coming off the bench, and I think the Knicks fan base kind of maybe took Emmanuel quickly for granted a little bit. I know he was a little bit streaky, but it's a role where, right, you don't have much time to rectify things. If things don't start well, you get pulled and the starters come back in. So there is a lot of pressure to come in and be the sixth man of the year. And I think it's an underrated tough role, to come in, get the offense organized, make sure that the scoreboard keeps ticking up, make sure guys are getting their shots, all of those things. And just being a point guard alone, is the toughest position, I think. With that said, man, I think, maybe having 2 type ball handlers with Deuce McBride and Shake Milton is going to be big, and I could see that really benefiting each other with that. I think that's going to be something to look out for, and I give it a B at the minute. But I'll bring up the rotation again when everybody's healthy. We'll see. Obviously, there's going to be a crunch, right? If Mitch gets back before the end of the regular season, someone's going to lose some minutes, and I think it's a pretty straightforward thinking to think that Jericho Sims is probably not going to get meaningful minutes. So he's a easier decision. Precious can back up whoever it is, or if he could move to the backup 4 if Mitch is back, and Isaiah or Mitch take the 5 spot. Hart's minutes theoretically will go back to the 20 to 25 off the bench, backing up OG when Randall's healthy. I think on a night-to-night basis, I think Tibbs is going to ride or have a short leash with Bojan with Bojan, Burks, Deuce, and Shake Milton, I think it's going to be fluctuate. And with that said, in big games, it's just going to mean that he comes back with the starters, really. I mean, look at that starting unit. Why wouldn't you want to rock with that as long as possible if you're trying to win ball games, right? With everybody healthy, Brunson, Big Ragu, OG, Randall, and Mitch or Ihart is a formidable lineup. And the bench players are only going to play a minimal role, I think, come playoff time. I think all the starters are going to be 37, 38, 40 plus minutes. And I won't be surprised if he goes to an 8-man rotation with possibly, the backup big, maybe Bojan, and then maybe Deuce and Milton. Obviously, Hart. You got to factor in Hart as well. So yeah, there's some options. Becky Hammond, Buzzer Beaters talking about double down on that opinion. Should we get emails out to ESPN and to get Becky Hammond's airtime taken down? I think we need to keep applying the heat. Firstly, to everyone, I think the perception of the Knicks has improved this season. But yeah, I think Brunson gets an unfair shake as well. I'm cool with really affecting anyone's positioning on air and things like that. As long as we just continue to voice our opinions on it, I think most of the people realize that Brunson, is one of the top 15 guys in the league this season. It doesn't matter if your size, whatever. I think he makes his teammates around him better as well. I think him and Julius can be that, guard big man duo that can get the New York Knicks to the NBA Finals with good depth. To Die For says Burks is playing too much thinking versus allowing the game to come. 100%. Yeah, he's coming in with the preconceived mindset of just trying to take shots as well. Yep. Not trying to get good shots as well. Yeah, Stewart, Mitchell, Cousins retired. I think he's retired from the NBA, but he might be playing in one of these foreign leagues. Yep. And Ihart, of course, is still dealing with the tendonitis. That's going to be a up and down thing. And I think Precious Achiuwa has been one of the pickups of the off-season as well. So, yeah, I think the OG trade is still a big plus. I think, when everyone's healthy, considering Precious's play, that's been an A in my book. That's been a huge trade. And we can't grade what we're seeing right now. We have to grade it when OG is back. The Burks one, Burks has been a D, F. Bogey's been a C, C plus. You see where the impact can come from. He has to clean things up though a little bit. He has to be mindful of not taking guys off the dribble too much. He's been a little shaky. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Hit the open shot. Space it out in the corner. He's got the high release, so no one can really block him. But I think the turnovers has been something that Bogey has to clean up, and the missed layups, as well. He's trying to hope that the contact can bail him out, as well. So we don't know what Tibbs is thinking. Yeah, Tibbs might really come down with the hammer on Bogey's minutes as well. But we'll wait to see what happens with the Shake Milton pickup, because I think he brings that skill set that was needed, and is going to really help us out in the backcourt, right? Arguably the spot with the biggest need right now. We do have a lot of big men still with Sims, Precious, Isaiah, and Mitch to return, but Burks hasn't lived up to the billing, man. So next man up, literally, Shake Milton is coming into the Mecca. I'm happy with this move. It's been great breaking it down. We'll be live post-game tomorrow night. Replay squad, salute. Give me your thoughts on this pickup. Right? Is there any downside to this move? Are you happy with it? Do you want to wait and see? Right? Do you think it was just, a neutral? I think it was a really low risk move, and he's produced in the league. Hopefully he produces with us, right? His short stint with Detroit was really nothing to over-evaluate there. Minnesota, Philadelphia is where he's made his name. Shake Milton, 6'6", 7 wingspan, can play some D. Is fleet of foot, can get to the paint, as we see there, man. And yeah, the chat tonight seems to be fairly optimistic about the move. We try to stay positive. We've seen some traumatization, as Buzzer Beater says as well. Yep. No doubt, I feel you. That's why we shout Knicks Nation out. Sometimes our initial reaction isn't how we feel the next day. It's just the nature of it, man. We're seeing a lot. And we're trying to stay positive. But Leon Rose is getting us some help. That's the main thing, right? If he was just sitting on his hands saying, right, you guys ride it out, then I would have some questions. But, he's getting one of the better players out there who's available right now, post-trade deadline. And I think this has a really big upside. I give it a B for right now. And I think it has a real possibility to be more than that, fam. And what do you guys give it on the surface? Because I give it a B in terms of who was available, need, fit, and those things. But yeah, the man has to produce. He has to score more efficiently than Burks. I think he's going to help set some guys up as well. And I look forward to seeing his debut when it happens, right? As we stay buzzing. Knicks Nation, take care. See you tomorrow night. Hopefully celebrating a dub in Cleveland. No one on the injury report right now. Jalen Brunson will be good. Isaiah Hartenstein will be good as well. So that's great news. Finally, no one on the injury report front, right? As we got to start picking up wins, right? And we get some winnable games coming up with Atlanta after. Let's bring up the standings. After Cleveland, Atlanta, 2 more days off after that. Then Orlando, Philly, and then a West Coast trip where OG Anunoby could be factoring into that one, man. I think he'll be back within 7 to 10 days, somewhere between there now, that he's doing on-court stuff. So yeah, great news. And hopefully, man, this is the start of something more as we continue to pick up wins and gather that momentum that we had in January, man. We need to get that winning feeling back, right? So hopefully this is the start of more things to come with Shake Milton coming in the building. We see what else is happening with the roster spots. Maybe we dip into the buyout market once again, right? So yeah, let us know in the comment section if there's any more players you would love to see the Knicks pick up. But yeah, I think it's a plus. I think the Knicks are being aggressive, and we haven't really seen this in years past. A lot of the time, the front office is like, all right, I want to keep the locker room as it is, but we're bringing in a new face at this time of the season. I can respect that, guys can worry about their feelings later. It's all about trying to help the team win, basically. We're fully focused on going as far as we can this season. It's important, fam. So I'm high. Let's get it. Streets are buzzing. Smash that like button. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Salute. Have a great night. Peace, blessings, health, happiness to everyone. And orange and blue skies.